Guys, what is up? Welcome to another episode of Maximilian Must Know. This is going to be a scent safari episode, and today we're looking at the house of Phlur, Phlur. Phlur. Now, for those of you who don't know how scent safari works, basically I reach out to a house that I'm interested in. This is a really new house, and I asked them to send me some samples. And usually what I do is I pick 4 out, and I wear them for the first time that day that I review the fragrances. I'll spray them on my body, and then before I do the video, I'll sort of refresh. So I get a really good first impression of how the fragrances act. Now, Phlur actually only sent me 2 fragrances, so we'll talk about the 2 in this video. As far as Phlur goes, this is a house started by a gentleman named Eric Corman, who was actually the president of e-commerce at Ralph Lauren, and he got really interested in fragrance, decided to start this brand. He was frustrated with the way modern perfumes were made and packaged and sold at their price point. So we teamed up with 3 really prominent perfumers, at least for this first run. David Appel, who you guys know I'm a huge fan of. Bleecker Street's probably the fragrance that I love most from him. But he's done so many fragrances. He also teamed up with Ralph Schweiger and Natalie Benarow. And for consumers, for consultation, he brought on board a woman named Anne Serrano McLean, a Brooklyn perfumer, to evaluate the fragrances. And he also brought on the very well-known Chandler Burr, who's a prominent scent critic. He does a little something with Lucky Scent to help them determine if the fragrances they're putting out were up to snuff. And if these interest you, you can buy 2 samples for $10, and they're presented in just this ridiculous big box with your name written on them. It's just a really cool presentation. It's a lot of packaging, but then with each fragrance you get a little card that tells you exactly how to wear the fragrance, a note on what notes and accords are. So there you go. They're presented really beautifully, and I'm going to talk to you about the 2 that I selected. Note these are $85 for 50 ml. So they look like they're going for something niche product, in terms of a niche product at a designer price. And the first one is called Hepcat. And the description that they give on Hepcat is coarse and fearless. Hepcat adds the warm wool jacket enveloping you and your favorite whiskey invigorating you. It is a day without an agenda, but filled with good friends and real effortless conversations. Hepcat is robust and stirring and self-assured, above all else, just like you. Now, Natalie Benarow did this one. I'm familiar with her because I just did a video, a scent safari for 6 Scents and their Le Potion Fatale series, and she did Lily of the Valley for that series. And the notes listed on Fragrantica, at least for this one, are vetiver, tobacco, cherry, and floral notes. Now, the website really just mentions vetiver, and the card that comes with this for Hepcat, and I'm looking now, mentions oud and vetiver. So I think there's some confusion between the website, the card, and Fragrantica, which is actually where I learned about this house. For me, this is a boozy scent. There's also definitely a very dry vetiver note. I don't think this is a bad scent. It's a good scent. I just think there's lots of scents out there like this. I feel like it's a spicy vetiver scent. I don't know that for me that this one does anything to distinguish itself from lots of other niche perfumes. And this one was really weak on my skin the day that I wore it. I mean, very little projection, almost arm's length as soon as I sprayed it on, and then within a few hours, very little projection at all. So this one didn't grab me. And the next one is called Moab, and the right of Think of Moab this is sinewy trees that curl up against sun-drenched and wind-worn rocks. It is heat emanating and invigorating. Its arid spice seduces like the vastness of the West. Moab was made for freedom, made for exploring, made so you don't have to go to the desert to feel like you went to the desert. Now, Ralph Schweiger did this one. You guys know I'm a big fan of this guy. I can name a million scents he did. He did Iris Nazarena for Eighth of Venustus. He did Orange Sanguine. We all love that one. I don't really love that one, but I think I understand why everyone else loves it. For Atelier de Cologne, he did Greg Laurent for Barney's, which I recently purchased, and I'll review that one, and so many other fragrances. And the notes on this one are spicy notes, woodsy notes, solar notes, and sand. So desert seems to be the theme behind this one, and I really do like this one. There's a real quality to this one. It's super resinous, but there's something here for me that makes this very gourmand, almost like stewed fruit. There's definitely some sort of sweet wood in this one, almost like a guaiac wood or like a sandalwood, perhaps. So there's a sweetness here that might come from some sort of resin. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some vanilla or tonka here, perhaps. It's really nice. It reminds me of other scents that I can't put my finger on. I don't know that I'd say it's evocative of the desert for me. It's definitely the one of the two that I prefer. What's funny to me is in regards to descriptions, they're totally switched around for me. I get like the gourmand cozy notes from Moab and the sort of dustiness I'd expect from the desert in Hepcat, but that's just my interpretation. This one does perform well. It's like a 6 to 8 hour fragrance for me and projects moderately in that time frame. I don't know that either of these are beastly perfumes. I would say that they're quiet fragrances, if that's your thing, and some people don't want fragrances that just shoot the fuck out and knock people over. These will be your thing. I think from these two fragrances, and it's hard to sum up a house on two fragrances. That's why I try to do more usually with houses. I'd say there's lots of potential. Great price point, right? $85 is great for 50 ml. I like to explore this house more. If I'm being 100% honest, I don't know if neither of these fragrances really did anything crazy for me. I don't know that they're that unique in the realm of niche fragrances. I think they're both well-made fragrances, and I really appreciate the concepts and the effort behind the house. I think it's odd that nowhere on the packaging, which is very well done, do they actually denote the concentration of these fragrances. They feel like they're EDT. I wouldn't be shocked if they were EDP, but they don't feel like they're EDP. If I were you guys, I would take a look at these. $10 for 2 samples is very fair as far as I'm concerned for fragrances like this, and the packaging is really nice. If I were them, I'd include note breakdowns for these because I think it's confusing to try to figure these out. The note breakdown of Fragrantica says one thing, the cards imply something else, then the website sort of gives a different description, so it's a little confusing. I think there's some things that need to be worked out, which happens with new brands, right? Like, I think this seems like a brand for people who don't really know fragrances that much. And I think there's some things they could do to placate hardcore fragrance fanatics like me. Because I think there is much potential and opportunity here. I love they didn't try to make fragrances like Bleu de Chanel or Sauvage. These are quality, unique compositions with, I think, A1 materials. So I'm kind of on the fence here so far. I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think they need to work some kinks out, and I think they could be onto something. And that's just my honest to God opinion on Phlur. By the way, the name of the house, I don't know if I talked about this, is Phlur obviously is like the French word for flower, and then pH is obviously like the pH of your skin. So I think it's a play on that. But I think there's a lot that could be done here, and I'm going to be a fan and continue to watch what this house does. I think there's some tweaks they could make that would really help them, and we'll see if they make them. But for $10, I just want you guys to know you could get 2 samples from really good perfumers, and I'd recommend doing that. So I will definitely link to them in my description. I hope you've been enjoying this series, and I'll see you very soon with more videos. Guys, you already know what it is. My name is Maximilian.